This is the dog I'm sitting this weekend. Her name's Judy. She loves being picked up. She kind of just melts. My name's Drew. I'm 29 and I'm a PhD student at USC studying psychology. This is my place. I sit dogs every month or so. I used to do it a lot more actively through Rover, but now it's just my favorites. Yeah, I have always been fascinated by psychology. I used to read Psychology Today magazines when I was in high school, and I also have always been obsessed with comedy. I basically grew up on the TV and watching South Park from the age of 4 and Seinfeld and The Simpsons, and then I did stand-up comedy in high school, and I realized I just really love thinking about what makes things funny, and then I realized I could research that. This corner brings me a lot of joy because I got this plant when it was only right down to here, and it's just been slowly growing around this bookcase that I built, and it's just a big pride of mine, and these are some of my favorite books. Top 3 books on my shelf are Calypso, Anna Karenina, and How to Do Nothing. This is my little garden out here. I'm really proud of these guys, and they're some of the most exciting. These are all cuttings. I went to the park near me, and I just snipped a bunch of shit and carried it back home and put it in some dirt, and look, it's thriving. These only had 3 leaves when I got them. I'm really proud of these guys. These are also from seed, and I just collected the seeds. There's like these like huge monstrous like fig trees in LA that kind of look like they're from like Jurassic Park, and I think they're really actually just from Australia, but they dropped these figs and I collected a bunch and replanted them, and they're like 2.5 years old now. One of my goals is to have a tree in my backyard that looks really old and like it's been there for a really long time, but it's actually just a seed I planted in my 20s, just like this guy. This is another favorite part of my place. It's a bit messy because of the dog right now, but I have a bunch of my favorite photos I've taken of my friends. They're all personality shots. This is my like self-affirmation wall. So it's all my closest friends and my good times with them, and a bunch of nice things they've been kind enough to write down for me about me. Let her in here. This is the only dog that like wants to be in its crate, seeks it out. This wall is a bunch of my favorite quotes that I wrote down a year or so ago. They're kind of just things I wanted to remember. Welcome to my fun house. I don't use this enough, but I struggled to think what else to do with this space, but I had a lot of mirrors and I also didn't know what to do with those. So I thought fun house. Sometimes Judy and I just get lost in here for hours. People ask me if I'm done with classes, and I finished real classes a while ago, but now I take fun classes. I just finished my 2nd stand-up comedy class, and now I'm taking ceramics, and I really like making little creative planters for my plants. This is my conch. I'm not very good at it. Judy doesn't like that voodoo magic. It's not easy to learn how to paint, but it's easier than you think, and I think it's so much more fun, and I really like the idea of just making everything in your home. I'm not super close to that, but the art is one part of that. This, I like just poured a bunch of like purple and yellow paint back to back to back into a broom pan, and then I poured it out, and it made this really cool abstract thing, and I love asking people what they think it is. I think it's like a woman bowing, you know? What do you think it is? You think it's penis? One of my favorite shows is BoJack Horseman, and essentially they have all these famous paintings by famous artists, and the animators, just as complete Easter eggs, will create like the BoJack like animal versions of those and put them in the background. No one ever talks about them in the scenes, they're just there. I went through a phase where I really liked recreating these. There's this artist, Jen Stark, who does these really cool, flowy, oozy kind of rainbow designs. They're just full of color. And then there's this other artist, Helmut Middington, who I found at this museum, who does these really cool sad-ish style. And I was really obsessed with this idea of contrast and how you can have such positive emotions and negative emotions and switch back between those so quickly. And I really think this encapsulates those feelings. One thing I find really useful is whole spices from Indian grocery stores. This is cumin. You gotta get the whole stuff. These are mustard seeds, also very powerful. And cardamom is another huge favorite of mine, and chilies as well. These are the cardinal four. If you're wondering why your food is so bland, it's missing these things. If you're coming into my place, you should know we have a drink menu. So these are Drew's Brews. We have a rotating IPA, Irish coffee at all times, Drew's hot chocolate, all the classic cocktails, and a few more. My favorite cocktail on here is the B52. It's one of those like layered shots. It's really just a shot, but there's 3 different alcohols in it. The Chicago Handshake is also a classic, and that's just a shot of Malort and an old style. I don't really drink a lot anymore. Luckily, alcohol doesn't go bad. I don't have any roommates, and my fridge is always full. They always got these like Impossible or Beyond Meat sales, and I just always have 4 times more of that than I actually need in here. My 3 favorite things in here to keep fully stocked at all times are ice cream, frozen pizza, and Beyond Meat. My favorite snack on hand is just like almonds and dark chocolate. I went through a phase where I was eating like 3 or 4 dark chocolate bars a week. Trader Joe's has the best. They're all $2, and I kind of just like a variety. But I usually go 70% at least. 85 is pretty great. Top 3 albums right now: Brent Faiyaz, Wasteland, every album by Smino, the Poor Things OST. Top 3 dishes: you know I love that red lentil curry. Eat it every night. Paneer makhni. I feel like you just can't go wrong with instant ramen still. Maruchan, but like none of that cup shit, like no styrofoam here, it's just the box. This is one thing that I love in my house. I really like deep questions with people. It's really easy to run out of interesting questions to ask people. A while ago, I just like compiled a huge list. Some of these are pretty personal and invasive. Others less so. What's a good book you read? What's the last time you puked? That's always gonna be a good story. Tell me a funny or awkward roommate story. A time you took one for the team. That's a great one. Describe your flirting technique. This is my favorite place to work. Oh, get right under the covers. Pillow on top. Second pillow on top, and then I'll work here for hours. And then when you've been working like this for a while, you change it up for your back and neck. Take the pillow completely out, maybe even add a 3rd pillow on top. Now we're cooking. PhD, this is how they do it. This is how research is done. Most people don't know it. This is how you learn things. I've never done a shoot before. I feel like I'm in GQ. I feel like I've made it.